ago, I picked up this book that was sent to me in a loot crate when I had a subscription, and for the longest time I just kind of let it sit on my shelf. And I saw that for this particular book that there was a movie coming out, and the concept sounded pretty interesting. So I decided to pick up the book and finally read it. And that book is Ready Player One. A lot of hype surrounding this book and this movie as well. And from its initial setup, I could certainly see why. The book is like a bunch of 1980s references strung together. But how does it hold up? Is it going to be a good movie? Well, I'm uncertain. A good number of people that I've talked to about this book did nothing but rant and rave, saying what an incredible masterpiece this book is. And while I can't deny that the world is certainly very creative, and the author does have a knack for describing 1980s references, the book itself is not the best thing ever. It's by no means life-changing, and it's not the next Harry Potter that the review on the back would state that it is. The basic plot of the story, without going too far into it, is that there is a virtual world, and it is called Oasis. And the Oasis is created by a guy named Halliday, and what happens to Halliday is he dies of old age. And what he does is he has an Easter egg, like how in like classic video games, or even video games now, there's like itty-bitty secrets for those gamers smart enough or brave enough to explore for them. And that's the point of the book. Halliday has left an Easter egg hidden in this gigantic virtual world with like billions and billions of places and billions of players playing and using this. Because the Oasis is not just a video game, it is used for shopping, used for school, used for everything. It's pretty expansive in what the capabilities of the system is. And the first person to find the Easter egg gets Halliday's billions of dollars in a fortune that he accumulated with his creations. Now, it is important to note that the world that Ready Player One takes place in is the year 2044, and the world is dying due to like pollution and all that. So what happens is people use the Oasis as a kind of escape. But the book primarily takes place in the virtual world in the Oasis. And of course, our chubby, nerdy, young hero goes on a quest to find this Easter egg. Now, the one point that set me off initially from the beginning of the book was that the dude straight up says, the main character, he's like, "This is the story of how I found it." And me personally, I didn't really like the fact that they said that. I mean, in this kind of book, you could assume that the main character is going to win in the end. However, it kind of spoils it a little bit when I know that any struggle that he meets with in this book is going to be resolved because he wins in the end. I feel that it works better in film, seeing the end of the story and then catching up to the beginning, kind of like how Memento is a movie in reverse. I feel like that would be better adapted to film. But besides that point, how is the rest of the book? It's enjoyable, as I said earlier, but it's by no means the best book ever. Most of the plots you can see coming, and the twists and turns are not very surprising. It's very easy to tell where this book is going to go. And yeah, if I'm being honest, the constant references do get kind of old. It's not so much the fact that the book is a bunch of references. Heck, a lot of shows that I watch make references to other things. Family Guy was a show that was based around referencing the 1980s. But what makes the book different is that the author has a particularly strange way of describing these things. It's not necessarily describing, like, let's say the author is describing a cave. And he doesn't just say that, the cave was drenching with this and there were skulls everywhere. He straight up says, like, this cave is the exact copy of this volume of Dungeons and Dragons, published this year, yada yada yada. And while some people might like that, I particularly don't. And though I am a fan of things 1980, I am no means the super fan that this guy clearly was. He talks about stuff that I had to look up because I had no idea. From my initial review so far, it sounds like I'm not too keen on the book. Well, honestly, I think it might be better in film than from the source material. Because the world that is created within Ready Player One is such a vibrant, active, colorful world full of billions of different possibilities, I think it translates better onto the screen. And I rarely would say that a book adaptation would be worse than the movie, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Like I said, the book does have some good points. The world building is good, the references that I do understand are very good, and some bits of it are very interesting. But as a whole, if you go into reading this book with high expectations, you're going to be sorely, sorely disappointed. But that being said, if you are a fan of video games or the 1980s or just want an interesting world to get enveloped in, Ready Player One might be your cup of tea. Just don't go expecting the best book ever. Guess we'll just have to see how the movie does. Alright everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been another episode of Kirk Talk, and I will see you in the next one.